What is going on, guys? We are here with another Overprime video. How is everyone doing today? We are here talking about some things that I want changed, some things I'm kind of waiting for. The reason why I haven't been putting as much content, the reason I haven't been playing as much. Obviously, I mean, the game just, got a little stale. I've been playing the same game for a while with the same issues, same problems, and no drastic changes that we've seen. So I'm just basically making like a list of things that I'm personally waiting for. These are not the only things probably I'm waiting for. I'm just going to keep it to 10 to keep it like kind of like concise. But yeah, I'm definitely not as interested in playing the game as constantly as I was, which I haven't been live as much. I haven't been streaming other games or anything. I haven't really been playing a lot of video games, to be honest. Maybe I'm hitting that phase, but yeah, it's just the game isn't as fun as it was, on release. The game's been out for 6 months. The game is pretty much the same game it was back then with a few slight changes. Now, they have made a lot of good changes, but there are still glaring problems with the game, which definitely need addressing, as well as other problems that need to be addressed as well, just due to the fact that we don't have a sustainable player base. On average, we're getting like 1,000 per day login on Steam alone, but that's not a lot of players for a MOBA. And then, obviously, outside of that, the people that are actually playing the game at any given time is probably like 400 or 500 people, maybe. And that doesn't even include that there's 2 different modes in the game, ranked and non-ranked, so you have to split the queues. We just don't have a good sustainable player base. So quick play is really just full of like new players or bots or whatever, and then it's just not a good time. So yeah, definitely I'm just gonna go over a list of just basically things I want changed. So I hope you guys enjoy the video. If you do, please drop a subscribe and leave comments down below on what things you would like changed if it's nothing here directly, or what you're waiting for in general. To be honest, I'm playing other MOBAs and like I don't really know if I'm even like super into MOBAs like anymore anyways, because it's like all these MOBAs do pretty much the same thing Overprime does with a few slight changes, and like none of them are like making me log in every day to play. I'm not super dedicated. Like Smite is, I think, in the shittiest place it's ever been before. I hate it right now, and it's like, I don't log in every day to play that game despite having some of the greatest skins in the game, like Blake Belladonna from Ruby or V Shoujo. And then, I don't really know how to play League or anything, so I guess that's another thing. And then there's just a bunch of mobile MOBAs and stuff, so I don't know. For me, there's not a lot of MOBAs anyways. Like, there's like, what, 3 on the market, so it's kind of hard to survive in this genre anyway. But I like the style of MOBAs, and I don't really know what I want this game to be entirely. I just kind of want it to be Paragon, but evolved. But I don't know in what form, so I'm hoping the developers will surprise me with that. But these are just personal changes that I want. So anyways, let's get right into the video. Starting at number 1, optimization to server skills. Like, basically, there's server issues. Whenever you dash with a certain skill, or maybe with the blink system, they are going to be changing that. They said that, at least they said they were. So hopefully we'll get this soon, but I am going to put this as number 1, because this is the most urgent issue. Characters like Xena, Aurora, Shinbi do have some glitching issues. Countess, they all have glitching issues. Pretty much any character with a proper dash can, like, glitch backwards, but most of the time it's just Xena. But even having just one character that just doesn't work is a problem. It's a major problem. So I definitely want them to focus on that more than anything, because if someone picks up Xena, who's probably, I think, the top 3 most fun characters in the game to play, and I'd play her a lot more. I've been saying this all the time, if she wasn't broken. It is so annoying, because if you stand still as Xena specifically and you just let go of your dash, you actually do not go backwards. You have to stand still, though. You can't use WASD at all. You have to just stand completely still, which stops your momentum. So it's not really super fluid, so that definitely needs some fixing personally. And then just blinking in general, sometimes you'll blink and it'll like wait a second and then you'll go, so you'll take some damage, or it will displace you weirdly, stuff like that. It's server side, I imagine, so that's why I'm saying optimizations to the server, and just in general you want that anyways. But yeah, that's like pressing issue number 1, because if you can't play a stable game, there's no point. That's pretty much the only performance issue, aside from a few others. Like, I fell through the map as Aurora the other day and I lost a ranked game due to that, so that could be fixed, stuff like that, but bugs. But yeah, server issues definitely need a fix, because there are some problems. Like Kwong also has some issues sometimes, stuff like that. Definitely want that to be like the first thing they focus on. I don't know how they haven't fixed it. These problems have been in the game since day 1, and I'm just to me that's like a disappointing thing, where like I play these characters and I like to play all these characters and they just don't work properly, or like the blink system doesn't work properly. It's like it just disincentivizes you from actually wanting to play. Number 2, lane farm and gold gain universally. So I don't think that like gold per second in this game is 3 gold per second, unless you have the yellow buff, which I think that means every 7 or 8 seconds or whatever it changes, you get like an extra 10 gold every 8 seconds or whatever as a support. But most of the time you're not going to be building that because you need to survive. The starters also suck, but lane farm in general, the last hitting on like the biggest mini you can get, I think, is 50. I don't think it'd ever go over that in any capacity, if I'm not mistaken. There might be like some kind of like weird interaction, but from what I know, it's 50. Again, don't quote me on all the numbers. And then the rest are like 20 and 15 and 10, or maybe it's 15 and 20. So it's not a lot. It is just not. Like most, like if to put this into perspective, the items, the most the item can cost, or an item can cost, is 3,800, which is pretty, it's pretty high. In League, I think on average items cost anywhere from 3,000 to 3,400. There are some items I think a little bit higher, but most of the time it's like 3,400. It's like all the cap on ADC stuff. In this game, most of the ADC stuff costs less than 3,000, but we're getting a lot less gold gains. So by 30 minutes, unless you're dropping 20 kills, it's really, really difficult for you to actually get full build, especially because there's only one tower, which means when you get that one tower, it's very hard for you to farm because you're risking your life, so you'll keep dying over and over again. So definitely for me personally, it's like I don't know, you need to boost up the gold gain, whether it's more than 3 gold per second. I think personally, just make last hitting way more efficient when there's one person in the lane, and if there's 2 people in the lane, it can go back to the way it is now. So you just incentivize only one person in lane, unless you have a yellow blessing. If you have a yellow blessing, the original person gets similar gold to what they would, maybe a little bit less than normal, but the support, if they last hit, they take that gold away from the carry, but if they just sit there, they also get a lot of gold just passively. I think that would help a lot. So then if there's 2 people in lane without a yellow blessing, they get like minuscule gold. They're just completely just like shit out of luck. But again, that might, obviously people are like, oh, the trolls and stuff, but if they decide to troll you, there's no helping it anyways. I'm just saying, you want to incentivize, laning and not snowballing. So doing like 2 people in a lane would definitely help with that. I think the jungle's okay. I don't know how much more gold you would need in the jungle specifically, but I'm talking about lane farm for now. Personally, and then maybe add other objectives like that give you a lot of gold, like on your side. Maybe there's like a storing thing on your side where you can just hit it and you get gold or something, and the enemy can't steal it. I don't know, stuff like that would help. But yeah, anyways, that's pretty much for me what I definitely, that's like number 2 most important thing, is just boosting the lane farm, because the game gets super stale very quickly when you're just farming, because everyone's really good at the game and they're not just like feeding, and then you're just like 3 items at like 25 minutes, and it's just like, it's super depressing because you're just super behind if someone dropped kills, or you guys are all just like 4 items in max at like 35. All right, the third thing is daily and weekly grind to unlock cosmetics, masteries, and tiers, stuff like that, skins and borders in game, emotes, etc., stuff like that. Daily, weekly grinds are very important in most video games. If you don't have a proper retention system nowadays, the games are just going to likely die if there is no incentive to actually play the game. And currently right now in the game, there is very little incentive to actually sit there and play the game. We got something called the Explorer Pass, which I thought was going to be a daily and weekly grind, but it turns out it was just for new players. So you actually don't get any sort of grind. It doesn't reset, at least not to my knowledge. So the new players were able to get this like Explorer Pass where they're able to complete challenges and stuff. I think that's good. I think we need more of a battle pass plus that, and maybe more stuff than that too, like a mastery system where you get skins, like mastery skins we had before. I think they should make it a little more intricate than just orange or magma or whatever it was. But yeah, where you can also get borders, banners, emotes, stuff like that, like maybe things you can shoot up in the sky, kind of like Smite, things you can physically earn in the game that make it worthwhile to sit there and play, because a grind will always incentivize players to sit there and actually want to grind your game. 110%, we need a system like this in the game, because currently right now all we do is farm Renar pretty much. That's pretty much it. We can't even really use that Renar for anything but like recolors, which is fine, but yeah, that's super disappointing. So hopefully, like I said, they definitely work on this fast, because I think these 3 things that I just mentioned are probably the 3 most important things. If they focus on this stuff now, would actually bring back players and want people to actually play the game. If you got more gold, the optimization was better, and the daily weekly grind actually made sense, like where you can get in and log in every day. At least I have an incentive to log in every day, stream, get my challenges done, earn some stuff, and then eventually earn a master skin where I could show, and they have mentioned they're going to change this, as well as the gold gain, as well as the optimization. So all three of these things have been mentioned, but they haven't been touched, which is, again, that's kind of urgent in my opinion. I thought when they announced this stuff it was going to come immediately, and I think it's been like 2 months, maybe a month and a half since they announced this stuff. So those are the three things I'm just waiting for. I'm just hoping they're going to get soon, because again, there's just no reason to sit there and grind the game every single day like I was before. It's just, there's no incentive. Number 4 is the removal of ranked until it's properly balanced in favor of quick match leaderboards to avoid split queues. So this is a big one. I know people are really upset. I've suggested this plenty of times, and people are like, no, don't you dare remove ranked. I want a competitive game. And I'm like, well, you might want a competitive game, but I don't want a dead game. If you keep ranked in the game, it definitely isn't going to help the game. Having split queues in a game where you're sitting in queue for like 10-15 minutes on average, I've been getting shorter queues actually in ranked, but that doesn't change the fact that it's like, like last time I tried to queue it, I think it took me 10 minutes and I had to switch to quick play. And then I waited again for like 4 minutes and I got into a game. Then I waited for 7 minutes and I had to go to quick play. And then I went back to ranked for took me like 3 minutes. So it's alternating, but most of the time it's the same 10 people in the lobby with maybe 1 or 2 changes. And if someone dies, it's just you're back to waiting again, and you might not get a game for a while. It's just the queue system, unless you're in quick play, is very, very minuscule. I think public leaderboards would help a lot. Like, if you don't know, they have another game called Hype Squad that's in beta right now, or it's in a open beta test. It's not even an open beta. And the leaderboard system is where you just play the game and you just get a public MMR, and if you have the highest MMR, you're on the number 1 on the leaderboard. I think maybe character leaderboards might be the way. Maybe they can have 2 separate leaderboards, one for specific characters and maybe roles or characters, whatever, and then they have one for everyone. So like if you're playing a support and you win every game, you can be number 1, and then you also could be number 1 Muriel. I think those 2 separate leaderboards would help a lot, and then you get a public MMR, and the higher MMR, the more likely you are to get matched with people in that same tier. That would literally be what we want with ranked, similar to ranked, except we can see that visually and acknowledge that. Because right now we do have a ranking leaderboard, but again, I think everyone's stuck at plat now. I don't know if anyone's plat 1. Last time I saw people were plat 3. So we finally broke plat after 2 months of having ranked reset. So yeah, definitely want ranked removed in favor of MMR leaderboards and just have one solid queue. I know people are, again, they just want competitive games, but again, it doesn't matter if the game is dead. I mean, having split queues is going to help, especially because we're probably getting a new game mode, at least soon. Is that they mentioned that there's going to be a new game mode. So if we get another game mode and we have ranked for the normal game mode, and we have quick play for the normal game mode, the game is, I think it's just dead. I think it's a dead game unless we get insane amount of players for the game mode. That's whatever. It just doesn't seem like a good idea to have it in the game until it's properly, until we get a player base, basically. So unless we have more than 5,000, 6,000, 7,000 players, minimum, I don't think it's smart to keep ranked in the game. And I know people, again, they want that competitive edge, but no one's playing the game because ranked's in the game. If you removed ranked and then you put public leaderboards, then I think people would just all migrate to, quick play just to get their rank up. They'd want to be number 1 on the leaderboard. And it would be more incentivizing because there's more people to match with. Even if they're new players, at least you can kind of show your skill and everyone knows how, good you are. And there would still be some kind of hierarchy to who you match with. Because right now, it doesn't really matter. If you're gold and you're trying to play against a plat, it's I don't know how the system works. I think if you're gold, you can play against anyone up till silver, maybe bronze. So you're fighting the same exact pool of people anyways, so might as well just put that in quick play. It's basically already how it is. But yeah, definitely want ranked removed until we get a proper player base, because it's just healthier for the game. Number 5, proper in-game tutorial, teaching you the ins and outs of how a MOBA is played and not how Overprime is played. So I think this is a big one. Everyone's talking about a tutorial and how it works and how to play the game. And I think it's almost impossible to teach MOBA without outside sources, because there's so many nuances and things you have to do to properly play the game. But to how they actually play the game, playing the game isn't that hard. It's a 3D action game. If you played any other game before, freaking Uncharted, or I don't know, just any 3D action game, honestly, ever, and then you've played a MOBA before, then you can play Overprime. It's not hard at all. I mean, it's just if you have MOBA knowledge, yet there's some things you might have to apply to this, but it's pretty much the same as every other MOBA. You know, it's not as hard as playing League or something. You know, it's or Dota. It's so much easier than any of those games because if you can play a 3D game and then you know how a MOBA works, you can play Overprime. You don't have to you don't need a tutorial. You literally don't. But maybe to get used to the game, I get that. Like, you know, you might need some kind of how the physics in the game work, which again, it's like any other 3D game. It's not really that difficult. You just have to learn how to shoot, learn how to melee, learn how to stick to people, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But for the actual MOBA elements, that needs you know, a tutorial by itself, but this would teach you how to play every MOBA. It wouldn't teach you how to play Overprime. So I think direct tutorials teaching you how laning, gold farm, all this other stuff works would definitely help, and they would tell you want to stay in your lane until, you know, X amount of minutes, generally before team fights start, but it all depends on the team comp you have, and it would walk you through that. Now, I think, again, when we get a content creator program, they can outsource it to, people making videos, and they'd link tutorials on their Twitter and in-game and stuff like that, so that they would have their content creators basically teaching the player base. And, you know, new players would see those videos as an advertisement on the screen, or maybe even when they hit tutorial, they would link it there. So stuff like that would definitely help. But yeah, we need to teach people how to play MOBA, not how to play Overprime. So an in-game tutorial for that is very, very, very important, because I get plenty of new players in the game, and it's not fun for either side. It's not fun for me because I, you know, don't have people who know how to play almost every single game when I go into quick play, even ranked sometimes. And then on the other side, the new players, they don't know how to play either, because, you know, they just started the game and they're very, very confused, and they, you know, we can't really help them. It's not like we can type to them because the chat's locked. So yeah, we definitely need a proper tutorial, 100%. For MOBAs, again, not for Overprime. My honest advice would be just go play a mobile MOBA. You know, those are so easy to get into and so easy to play, and they actually have mobile elements. Like Arena of Valor is a good example. I mean, you can learn how to play a MOBA and how a MOBA works while not actually having to have the pressure of knowing how to last hit properly and stuff like that. I think mobile MOBAs are a really good introduction to MOBAs. Actually, I played them for a while, and they still have that competitive edge and high end elo. They're really hard, but you know, you can play the easiest character in the game and just constantly just lane properly, last hit. And it's much easier to accomplish those things than playing League, you know. But yeah, anyways, definitely want a proper in-game tutorial. A proper content creator program. So I think this is an important one too. Like I mentioned before, we definitely just need a proper content creator program. So yeah, that's just basically it. We want people in the community to be talking to others. Now, I also think we need a community team for NA. I know KR has people associating with them in the KR chat, but we barely have Ranger or anyone any one of the devs coming in here and talking, but they do talk sometimes. We kind of have Discord mods who kind of know some stuff, but at the same time, it's not the same as having a community team kind of communicating with us through videos. They used to have those record logs, which were really good. I don't know what happened to those, and I'm really upset they just dropped those. But having a content creation team would at least kind of you know, they get early access to builds, which they do. We actually, by the way, guys, are getting an early access build on the 26th, I think it is. So definitely sign up for that. You do have to sign up for that. And I think content creators are also incentivized to get that early. I'm not sure. I'm not in the content creator program. There is actually one. I didn't know about it. It's just not really advertised at all. They need to just kind of incorporate that into their game more. And advertise that, and as well as just include more people, literally anyone who's willing to, honestly. Obviously, there's not a lot of people who are really into the game, so I know there's a problem just getting people interested in the first place, but, you know, even if it's someone who doesn't play the game that much, I mean, just, you know, tack them on there, or paid streamers. I mean, again, when early access launches, I hope they're going to do that anyway, so they advertise the game. Number 7, a restructure of how orb/endgame works. Post 25 to 30 minutes, no damage to the core from orb, maybe a new side objective. So this one is a pretty big point of contention in the community, where we want orb to not do damage to the core. The core does a lot, or gets a lot of damage from orb. The first orb that you get, if you do it properly, gets to 70%. If the inhibitor, even one inhibitor, is down, the core will get to 70%. The second one will go to 40. The third one will go to 10 every single time, and I think the fourth one will always go to 1%. So if your core for some reason keeps healing up, or let's say you You get the first orb, it just hits the inhibitors. Then you get an inhibitor down, and then, or you get one inhibitor down, and then you get the second orb. It'll take the core usually to 40%, even if the inhibitor is up or close to halfway. I think sometimes it'll mitigate some damage, but for the most part, it usually goes 70, 40, 10, and then 1. So, and then that only includes if the inhibitors are up. If you get it when the inhibitor is down on the second one, you probably are getting the core to like 20 or maybe 10. So, we definitely need to take that away completely, which they said they wanted to, but they still haven't done. So I don't know if their plans are changing. But again, when they mention these things, and I know this list is kind of redundant because they mentioned doing almost everything I've mentioned is things they talked about, except removal of ranked, I think. So every other point that I've made has been something they've talked about, but they just still haven't implemented. And this was from 2-3 months ago. So yes, we definitely need this changed because it is still just a huge letdown when you're just farming and like for some reason the team decides to orb toss and then you just lose the objective, or they sneak the objective with a Wukong and a Iggy and all of a sudden you lose the game. It's just really, really lame. I know that's kind of what they wanted for the game, but they literally have said that they don't want this to be the case anymore, but they still haven't changed it. And I don't know how they haven't. It's just super frustrating having those things happen and just having the game fully revolve around it. And then also, like I said, having a new side objective, maybe having like a big minion in one of the other lanes after like 20-25 minutes that you have to focus on that can help you siege lanes and stuff, or maybe get better minions aside from Prime Spirit and Gold. Just having some new objective to be aware of so you can split up your team a little bit more and have other things happen, because right now it's just literally Prime Spirit and then Orb Prime, and most of it's Orb and then Prime is secondary. So we definitely need some kind of like extra thing. And again, I'm playing all the other MOBAs. There isn't a lot I can think of from other MOBAs. You guys give me some examples. I'm just suggesting things. I actually don't have a solution for this one, but we definitely need to remove the damage from the core. That needs to change immediately. But yeah, definitely want a better end game. So hopefully they kind of look into that and see what, to keep their fast pace, which again, the game is pretty long. Usually it's like 35 minutes on average with good players. So hopefully they can kind of speed it up, as well as just add a new objective to kind of speed that up as well. Without having you lose the game for absolutely no reason. A map change to the previous map, number 8. To the previous map we had, or better with 1 verticality or facilities to use like XP store, harvesters, gold, or team objectives outside of the spirit and orb. So like, how we had harvesters in the previous game where I think it would store XP and maybe gold. I think we could use that as well. And maybe, again, I think I mentioned this earlier, where it could be on your side where you can kind of just like have it. I think that would be really nice. And then also just a map change. I think we had a map before that was beautiful and it was fun. I think it was a little bit more fun than this map for sure. A lot more fun, honestly. It was very colorful and vibrant. I think maybe just a redesign is what we need, but I also think just changing the terrain generally, like verticality and stuff, would help a lot. Making it fresh and new. I just think it would help a lot. They said they have other maps kind of like sitting there, but maybe this new game mode will have a use of that next map, hopefully. But yeah, I really do want another map. Maybe that's just me for playing for 6 months and getting bored of this one. But yeah, definitely want some kind of like map change. I think that would be just really fresh and new. It also kind of just, again, like has more objectives. Maybe it has more camps or something, or maybe it has camps for like, like the carry, I guess go smite route or something. Something interesting, or maybe leading it, maybe something like maybe a cannon that launches you somewhere. I don't know, something cool, get rid of the portals. Yeah, I don't know, just a map change and just like other elements to the game that help you farm for your team. And it's a team-wide thing. It's not just like, one person. A proper quick casting system. This one is a simple one. We have normal casting and then we have instant casting. We don't have quick casting in the game. If you don't know what normal casting or instant casting is, normal casting is when you have to press an ability and then you have to press an ability again. So let's say you press Q to cast an ability and then you have to press left click to confirm the ability generally. Some abilities are automatically instant cast, like Fang Mao. I think his dash is instant cast. You can't actually have it. I think you should get rid of everything that does that unless it's like a buff or something. Like Chimera's buff, like, you don't want that on normal cast. It's always going to be instant cast. But I think dashes should all be on, have the option to be on normal cast. Quick casting, or sorry, instant casting is when you just press a button and the ability instantly happens. We also have that in the game. You can set every ability like that, but that also causes some problems for some things like Severog, for instance. I can never play Severog if I don't have it on normal casting, but it would be easier if it's on quick casting. So instant casting, your ability goes off the second you press the button. So you have to aim it, but there's no targeter for you. The normal casting, there's a targeter, but you have to manually confirm it by pressing left click. So the other thing is quick casting. Quick casting is when you press an ability and the targeter shows up, and then you can hold down that button that you just pressed in one seamless motion, and then when you let go of it, the targeter shows up, but you let go of it, the targeter goes away, the ability goes off. That would definitely help a lot on a lot of characters for me, because there's so many characters where every game I have to switch, basically, like Shinmi, for instance, I have to switch to instacast, like, you know, like Sereth. I mean, it's, you know, pretty straightforward. Just characters just in general that I would like to be able to hold down an ability and, you know, be able to have the option to cancel it or just let go of the button for it to go off and not have to press left click, because it just breaks the fluidity of combat. So when I do need those instant cast situations, I can just tap the button, but then I also can just hold it when I need to. So that would, you know, just have that third option there. I know Pred has it. There's really no reason why this isn't in the game already. I don't know why they haven't touched that. They haven't mentioned anything about this, sadly. So fingers crossed. And then number 10 is early access launch and serious advertising. So I think all the things I mentioned is pretty much what I'm looking forward to the game, for it to be a successful game, basically. There's really, I mean, maybe you can add other things. Like I said, I already mentioned a battle pass, but I like loot boxes. I know people don't like loot boxes. I'd be fine with loot boxes that aren't fucking Naraka priced. If you don't know, Naraka price like is insane. Every loot box costs like $30 for like 10 pulls. So $300 for 100 pulls to get like the extreme. So nothing like that, but I would like something you could purchase loot boxes, like kind of like Overwatch had it, where you could purchase loot boxes in the game. I know people are just crazy about that, but outside of that, you know, just early access launch in general would just be kind of where I'm waiting for, basically, because obviously we need to see this game succeeds. This is the next Paragon remake. I know being in development hell for, you know, years isn't going to help. Honestly, I think they should have went all out and just had basically, you know, a bunch of early accesses to experience the game, balance the game, release new characters in, kind of like periods, shut down the game, open, shut down the game, and then launch it when it's actually ready, not going into early access, going into open beta immediately. I think that would have been way better than what they did now, because now we're stuck in this limbo where we're just basically developing the game with them. It's nice that I get to play the game, but it's not in a state that I want to play it all the time in. So, I think all these changes would help, but then also early access launch, obviously we need a player base. I think that's the biggest thing. Until we get a player base, we're never going to get that like sustainable competitive environment that you're looking for, even casual environment that you're looking for, whatever you want. We're not going to be able to have other game modes properly. We're not going to be able to have ranked. We're not going to be able to have these things without a proper player base. And realistically, I think the only thing that would actually make this possible, there are two things. I think advertising outside of early access launch would be one thing, and then the actual early access launch by itself. We have not, as far as people have said we have advertised, but as far as I'm aware, we have not. I have not seen myself a single advertisement, like, you know, when you see all the advertisements like Honkai and stuff. I heard streamers were paid to do it, but I have never seen a streamer who's actually sponsored to play this game. I think I've seen some for Pred, but, you know, very few. Like Smashley, I think, was doing one for Pred. She was giving out codes and stuff. They haven't done anything like that to my knowledge, so maybe they have, but I have not been aware. But again, advertising, a huge one, and then early access. Again, those are two separate things. You can also combine them, basically, where early access and advertising goes hand in hand, because when the early access launches, you should be advertising that, but you can also advertise your game before early access. I know they said they didn't want to until the game was complete, but again, we don't have a proper player base, and I don't think they don't want to have under 1,000 people playing their game at any given time. They always want more than that. They always want a lot of people playing their game, so they do incentivize us to do that. But on top of that, if they're not ready for early access launch, they at least should just advertise the game anyways. Once they fix all these issues that I mentioned, I think it's just time, you know, bite the bullet and stop waiting, because right now, like I said, it's not fun for us to get on and play with 500 other people usually. Maybe it is for some people, but like for me, I just like having a bigger pool of players to engage with when it comes to like my game and my community, especially because I'm making content for the game. And then also seeing other content creators, you know, making videos and stuff for it is really fun. So I definitely want a bigger community and more people attentive for the game. And then also early access launch in general, like I said, will just help that player base in general. So those are some pretty big things. I think those are honestly, after this entire list, it's probably the most important thing on the list, but at the same time, it's like, obviously, these problems need to be fixed before we do any of that. So, which is why it's number 10 for me. It's the thing I'm waiting for the most, because it's kind of like the breaking point where, like, the game, it's very hard in today's day and age to recover a game, and it's scary because in the MOBA genre, I mean, how many MOBAs are alive on PC? Dota 2, League, and Smite. That's it. I don't think there's a single, there's not even a MOBA-esque game that I can think of. Like, don't say Overwatch. And come on, after the PvE cancellation, is anyone playing that? That was kind of bad. Paladins isn't a MOBA, right? Like, we don't have MOBAs aside from, you know, 3 that are successful. So, and Smite, arguably, you know, even on PC is a little lackluster in comparison to the League and Dota. League and Dota are topping the charts, but Smite is still slacking in comparison. Console definitely carries a lot of that. Oh, also console launch. I guess I forgot to put that on here. I guess that goes hand in hand with early access. Console as well. I know, and I know console players are probably fucking having your pitchforks ready. There you go. Console launch number 10 with early access. I think that goes hand in hand though. When early access launches, I think that's when console should launch. It's very hard, I know, to get a game on console, especially on like PSN and stuff, before the game's actually out. So early access would also obviously come with console. And then advertising, and we basically see if this game has a life, because it's not just about if the game is perfect. The game could be perfect, could incentivize you to play like crazy, but if people aren't interested in this high skill gaming, then it's just probably not going to succeed. I mean, look at goddamn, I don't know, Battle Right, for instance. Battle Right, I think, is one of the best games ever. You could still play it, but it stopped getting updates because people stopped playing it. They also introduced a Battle Royale mode or some shit, so I don't know. But hopefully they won't do that, by the way. I've heard a bunch of memes of Battle Royale Overprime. Please no. Please. I've said before that I think it'd be better as an arena fighter than a MOBA, just by the way the game works. But, you know, I'd be okay with that, but I feel like a lot of people wouldn't. So, anyways, an arena game mode would be pretty cool, though. Anyways, that's pretty much it for the game, or for my top 10. I hope you guys enjoyed. Sorry, it's like 3 a.m. I'm pretty tired and a little sick. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just waiting. So I'm probably not going to be streaming, like I said, every day. I've definitely not been keeping any sort of track. I've been wanting to stream other games, and I streamed Time Squad a little bit, but I was like, it's just not really like, I'm not really dedicated to any game right now. I don't sit down and play like a game all day as of late. I mean, Wild Hearts just got an update, and I've been playing that a little bit. I've been playing a little bit of League, ARAM like every day, just like one game of ARAM. I haven't really been playing a lot of League either. I've been trying to play other MOBAs to see what I want in Overprime. Like, that's like my goal. So I'm not just like sitting there like not focusing on my content only. There are times where I'm just sitting there trying to play other games. I'm also playing other combat games to see like if there's another game I'd like to cover. But as far as I'm aware, I really just like every time I try to like get into another game, I'm just like, man, Overprime, I just wanted to, you know, I just want to play that. And I want it to like be good though, right? And I want to have a player base. I want to have like all these changes. I want to have like something to grind for. I want to have it feel good to play. I want it to be properly designed, and I want, you know, it looks, the game like, you know, has a lot of strong points, but it also has it definitely has more weak points than strong points, in my opinion, when you get onto the game, because there's so much bad. And for me, it's like I'd play the game even with all these problems if the player base was bigger. But outside of the player base being bigger, the reason why I want that is because the games aren't competitive enough unless I do a custom game and I'm seeing the same 10 people, which is fun. Trust me, it's fun. I like it. But it's annoying having to get 10 people together, even if I have like 30, 20 viewers every single day, because I can't get a proper game outside of that, you know? So, yeah, I don't know. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed. That's pretty much it for me. I'm just waiting for this stuff, so fingers crossed we get this soon. I'm hoping by June. I hope this PTR test, PTS, whatever, is really, really huge. I mean, they're advertising it to be really huge. You have to sign up for it. It's literally a separate client, and you can just, again, like I said, you just get access to it. So definitely do that. Go to their site and look for the post. I might link it below if I'm not lazy. And sign up for it and then try the changes. We are going to be able to test Greystone with 26 as well as Adele, so I'm very excited for. So there are things that are very exciting. Coming basically in less than a week. Hopefully all these changes I mentioned come with it. I'm really, really hoping that I get surprised and it's a one fucking huge patch that changes all the stuff. I would absolutely love it if that was the case. I don't really have a lot of optimism for that to be the case, but I do expect some changes, specifically the ones they've mentioned, but not everything I've mentioned. And most of the stuff I've mentioned, like I said, they are changing for sure, but there's, you know, maybe 4 or 5 points that they're not going to, or they haven't mentioned yet. So yeah, anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed. I will see you guys in the next video. Look out for those streams, and I'm definitely going to be grinding on the 26th, probably 4 days straight. I imagine I'm not going to miss a stream just because we only get 4 days to test it. I'm assuming there's going to be a patch on the 30th for the live server for Greystone, and then Adele's going to come probably 2-3 weeks later, so maybe 4 weeks later. Or sorry, 3. It has to be 3. It can't be 4. Well, I guess it could be 4. 28 days. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you guys in the next stream. Thank you for watching. Peace.